everyone, what's up? Leviathan News here with another weekly panel on a Thursday. It is June 20th, 2024, and I'm honored to be joined by my most veteran panelist co-host, Millie. How are you, first of all, sir?
GM.
Nice to have you back on. And our newest rising panelist that we were so fortunate to have last week as well, Pope. And I've been actually waiting to get you two together, actually, to discuss some topics. I really like both of your accounts on X. Both are very useful, in my opinion. If you guys follow the industry, so definitely recommend both of them. Put the links. Put the links in the description on YouTube, by the way, so you can watch it. And guys, by the way, if the stream on X is not working well, please feel free to check us out on YouTube, Leviathan News. Maybe we'll work better there, and also like share some feedbacks. Like let us know if it's working well or not. Having some issues recently. And either way, what's up, guys? Let's get into the topics because we got some pretty crazy stories. In crypto, it's as usual, but sometimes, like every week, it seems okay. This week is crazier than usual.
I think the crazy things are just starting. Like you probably think it's just like we're just building up. We still don't have we still don't have the next FTX, like something is building up, but we don't see it, Every cycle ends up with something like this, so like I think we haven't yet seen where is that going to take us.
Yeah, hopefully not. I guess like the craziest thing we heard like all week was probably the Kraken Certik thing that just happened yesterday. Well, it just got disclosed yesterday. How
yeah, man, this is one of the craziest things ever.
I can't believe it. Like it's actually like crazy. But okay, but maybe I should give like a brief like a summary of the whole thing, and then we'll dissect it from there. I'm honestly I'm not I haven't been following it the closest. There's some people that obviously are way more informed than me, but I'll just give like a high level. But basically, like the first piece of info we got was Kraken like coming out, making us the Kraken's head of security coming out and making a statement as to some kind of security breach on the exchange, where there was a breach, and then like a security researcher reached out and told them about it. They investigated it, sort of patched the bug or whatever, and then they claimed that the security researchers had removed funds and had and were now being engaging in like bad faith negotiations or whatever for the bug bounty or what have you. And this was like the first mention we heard of the incident.
By the way, Millie, this is what I have on screen now. Hopefully you guys can see it. That's the tweet you referred to, right?
Exactly. Yes, correct.
Yep.
Okay, so let's just look at it for a second before you continue. We see on 3:24 p.m. It's my time, so I have no idea what time it actually is on your side. The Kraken security update by Nick Perocco. On June 9, 2024, we received the bug bounty program alert from a security researcher. No specifics were initially disclosed, but they claim to find something extremely critical. They says that they receive them all the time. They start to be clear. At some point, it gets weird. I saw it yesterday. To patching up the risk. We noticed that one account was KYC to an individual who claimed to be a security researcher. This individual discovered the account. Well, this would have been sufficient to prove the flaw. Like he can take, if he shows that he can take a few dollars, he basically shows that it's breachable. It doesn't necessarily have to take a billion, but I think on this tweet it really got interesting. Instead, the security researcher disclosed this bug to two other individuals who they work with who fraudulently generated much larger sums. They ultimately withdrawn nearly $3 million from their Kraken accounts. This was from Kraken treasuries and not other. Okay, and not your typical white hat.
Okay, so there's a few things here that that bothered me about this tweet. One was just the one that you just read, like the one right above this. How they said like okay, everything else aside, because at this point we don't know anything, right? We don't know anything about who did like whatever this security breach was. Like we don't know who executed or anything. But what we do know is that 3 million was withdrawn from Kraken accounts that did not belong to them, and that this was from Kraken's treasuries and not from other client assets. And so this part to me like was a red flag. I didn't get it. I don't understand what they meant. Not like the Kraken treasury, not other clients. Like presumably these people took money and like they breached. They managed to like exploit some bug and like print more money than they had. Like from what we understand from this tweet, and they were able to withdraw that. How does that mean that that is from Kraken treasury, not customer funds? Like they should have been more specific and said like this was like funds that we lost and that we were going to cover. But like they're now trying to say that like this doesn't affect client assets, but I don't see how that doesn't, because like they custody client assets. So like if
that's a good point. That's a good point. Like if they can't protect their own treasury, who says that they can protect customer?
No, but like even if it is like the only way that the treasury could have been exploited is if it was being commingled with customer assets and these deposit with like withdrawal addresses, right? Like
there is a possibility. There is a possibility. The possibility would be that they have hot wallets with 2%, but those 2% are already topped up from Kraken assets, not users' assets, and users' assets are still kind of like cold wallet, all of them stored. But I agree with you. Like they didn't go there in detail. They just said that it's from Kraken treasury. I mean,
yeah,
they never explicitly said that the hot wallets are always a top up above the user clients, but this could be the scenario, which is, they should have disclosed either way.
It could be their fronting stuff. I don't exactly know how the mechanics of the exchanges work, but yeah. So that's what stood out to me from this tree. And then like briefly after this was when like Certik came out and everyone found out it was them. But at this point, this was what was like stood out to me about this, right? I'm like, Kraken allows me. So I would be interested in Kraken maybe like producing some kind of audit like report ASAP as to their reserves, just to reassure everybody. It would be really sad if like Kraken has a problem, because Kraken is one of the best exchanges, honestly. They're like,
I agree.
They're my favorite. I think they're generally pretty decent. So like, hopefully, like it's not a bad thing. So like, this is what stood out to me. But then, so the story goes deeper, and it turns out that it was actually a Certik researcher that did this. And this is where I sort of get lost, because in this thread, the guy says that essentially they detected the bug and then they patched it, but this Certik like people are claiming that they disclosed the bug after they breached large amount of sums. So like this is what like I don't think is like an answered question, and there's a lot of back and forth on it. And if you guys find the answer right now and like post it, that'd be great. Like if you do know it, but I haven't really seen it. That like there's no answer to like who reported what at when, right? Like they're just like throwing stuff back and forth. And there's a circuit. So Certik just released a tweet today where
they also released something yesterday, no?
Yeah, they released some bits of details yesterday and some of the addresses that are related to this.
Because I saw that on the on the tweet by Nick Perocco, he doesn't mention Certik directly, right? But shortly after, I saw some kind of tweets that Certik like says themselves that they are the ones.
Yeah, so like shortly right after they released a bunch of info, but like they didn't make like too many formal statements, and they released some their addresses, and then people looked at the addresses that they released, the contract addresses that were sort of involved in this, and they noticed that like they immediately sold the assets they withdrew, for one, which is a big red flag, and then two, they had interacted with Tornado Cash.
Like, yeah, that's like, kind of weird, isn't it? Like
they didn't deposit large amount of funds, like small amounts of funds. They deposit just these contracts, like not large amounts. And then the other thing they did was, and this is on Polygon, and the other thing they did was they deposit large chunks of money to Change Now, which is like another, like, it's kind of like a pseudo, it's not really mixing, it's just like a cross-chain sort of like
By the way, Millie, were you referring to this tweet that I'm showing now?
This is today. So this is the first like real statement they put out. And so like this was today, where like they attempt to address it. So like basically, there's a lot of questions. So like, why did they sell the funds right away? Why did they interact with Tornado, and why did they actually like bridge out significant like a few six-figure chunks clips into Change Now, which seem to have gone to XMR, Monero, like because that's what that's from what I saw on.
Seriously, some money is already can be seen on Monero.
If I'm not wrong, the two companies, Certik and Change Now, are under the same umbrella of owners. If I'm not wrong.
Is that true? Wow, this
like
is
I met the team of Certik. I met the team of Certik and Change Now like ages ago, and I think they are commingled in a way. But I like this is not 100%, but just something out of my memory because
again.
These two ended.
Again, Pope. Who are the two companies that you say that are Certik and whom?
Change Now.
What's that?
It's basically a shady crypto exchange, I would say. Not something you want to use in a way.
No way.
Man.
And that was used, and this exchange was used like during this hack.
That's what basically Millie mentioned now.
This
like
is
they use some of the funds to basically exchange that to Monero.
I mean, yeah, like they transferred a few large chunks, like 6-figure chunks.
If you guys can send me like the name in the private chat or something of that exchange.
Change Now. It's like a service similar to Railgun and shit like that.
Okay.
But it's not like it's not. It's more like a centralized service where you just send funds and they send it to you on another exchange. Like
I know that stuff. Like send me Bitcoin and you'll get ETH back.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, so like, and then they released that to me. But that little tidbit of information is wow. That's news. I'm gonna look into it. That's so insane. If that's true, that'll be interesting. That's really interesting though.
Man, everything about kind of. Certik is so I don't know, unique in the space. I don't know what word to use in order to be as gentle as I can, but like I don't know. Certik is a very unique phenomenon. I'd say in industries in general. Like I don't know. If you get it, you get it.
It's crazy to me because like I think like since like 2020, everyone's had like there's been like the silent like this open secret that Certek sort of engages in nefarious activities on chain, and where like especially with projects that they end up auditing, and so it's I don't know, man. It's like I think like a lot of people were suspicious of Certek already, and like this was just like the straw that sort of broke the camel's back. And I saw a couple posts that like this is the first time Certek actually disclosed the bug from like an incident instead of it getting exploited. This is the first time they actually.
So yeah, it's like a tweet. I don't remember who it was. Maybe it was this one that I shared. Just a second, because I don't want to use the punchline. If I can give credit to the one who actually gave it, it was actually funny. No, but I don't know if it was actually that. Just a second. But either way, like saying that, for the first time, Certik is finding critical, and then they're too excited, they take it all the way.
So anyway, this is their explanation as to what happened, and I'm sure it's going to continue. It seems like, from what I saw, that they returned most of the funds, apparently, but like it just like very fishy on both sides. So everyone was already So this is the way I look at it. Like everyone already thought Certek was fishy as hell, and this does not help their situation at all. But I think right now, for like this as like a Kraken user, and like I think as a Kraken enthusiast, I think the best move they should make is to like instill confidence in everyone and publish some sort of reserves, like reserve disclosures.
Don't they have a proof of reserves for each account? Like after you log in, you can see the proof of reserves.
Yeah, they talked about it like a while back, right?
No, like generally, like this is something really funny to see because Kraken over the last 2 years almost, we're pushing a lot of content around security. I'm like, one day they're gonna get something fucked up there on that side, that all of this marketing is gonna go just to trash. Like they've been trying to build confidence in the users and talking about security and 2FA and how Kraken is built and proof of reserves, and they put way too much effort and content hitting just around security, and now one hit, they
Yeah.
just all that marketing work that they spend money on is just out to trash. You don't see a lot of exchanges spend months talking about security. You do that once every year, twice a year, but if you do it consistently, it just ruins the whole vibe. So like I agree, like for like Kraken users who hold funds there, it's kind of like, okay, 3 million is gone. Probably they have a lot more than 3 million. Like it's not a big amount to be scared about, but obviously,
But also, like, I think you guys have a good point here, Millie and Pope. Yeah, how does it make like Kraken look? How does what should a Kraken user feel right now? Because I tend to really agree with you. Like Kraken is, I really like Kraken. I really like Jesse Powell as well. I really think he's doing stuff for like the right reasons, and he really cares about like the values of the industry and stuff. And I definitely hope that Kraken is okay with it. I do think that it's not like a huge amount, but yeah, I think that they should know how to to address it publicly and like own any kind of responsibility that they should for it. Because at the end of the day, someone was managed to steal funds from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like the question is like, could it have happened elsewhere and they didn't detect it? Like that's what I think is concerning. Like if they didn't detect Certek and Certek had to reach out and sort of disclose to them that it happened, then like it begs the question, like, is this possible that this happened elsewhere? And they don't know. And so like that's I think what's in question. I guess for Certek though, it's like so shady and so fishy. Like this tweet right here is hilarious. Like it outline it literally captures like
That
the
was
entire explanation. Like this is the heart of their
that,
explanation right
that's why I chose that sentence for the title of the stream.
there.
But go ahead, read it, Millie. You can read it.
Yeah, it's a perfect title because like this is what they
they're
basically
just
say. So
testing.
they're just testing if the money they stole can be sent to a bank in a country without extradition agreement. Just a test, bro. Maybe gonna test if that money can be used to buy a mansion, for research purposes.
Just testing, bro. Just testing.
But realistically, like this is basically what they're saying. Like that's what they're saying. This is why, like, so I think it's crucial to hear is like who really like notified whom. If Certek just was continuing doing this, and they were like sort of detected, and then they sort of like reached out, I think that's very bad. So that's very bad. If it's possible that like they reached out, then I guess I don't know. Like I guess there's some like slight plausible explanation, even though it's like extremely shady and like retarded. Like I don't know why anyone would deal with Certek after this, but I guess there's some explanation. But if Certek literally had to, I got like they got detected that they were doing like these whatever they were doing, and then they reached out. Like I think that's a big problem. So yeah, basically the explanation is that it's just a test, bro. They're just testing to make sure that they could do all those things.
Yeah. They're just testing what they can do with your own money. Honestly. Okay. Anything else you guys want to add on that topic before we move on?
Yeah, don't leave your life savings on the exchanges. Like even the safest exchanges, something always happens.
Most definitely agree. But that's a good point actually, because there are risks all over the place. Like there are risks with self custody, and there are risks with having the funds on chain and off chain, and in a bank and in your house. And there's always some kind of a risk, but you should always it should fit your own style and profile. Like, what are you comfortable with? Where do you think is safer? What kind of an environment can you control more? You know what I mean? Because for for sophisticated users like you guys, and even for much less sophisticated users like myself, I think that okay, we're very open already for self custody, and we actually feel I can probably bet much more comfortable having funds on chain than off chain. But for many, it's like for many, it's not necessarily the case, especially the newer.
Yeah, it depends. If you're actively trading, you're gonna have funds on the exchange. But if you're not actively trading, what's the reason to leave the funds on the exchange?
True. I think it's mostly like the fact that people are afraid to forget their seed phrase or their wallet. Like people are irresponsible. And by the way, like I know at least 2 friends that they probably heard about crypto because of me, but they've already had like their hot wallets drained. For one, it happened 2 times, and the other, it happened 1 time. And like unless like how to do it, it's also like taking like having funds on chain is also taking on some kind of risk. It's about how can you handle it.
Well, you know what I did, like when I sort of showed my sister the other, like a few months back, how to use crypto, and like first thing I showed her was how to safely source links. That was the first thing I showed her. Like after I showed her how to like make a seed phrase and how to store private key and all that, I showed her like the very first thing I showed her was how to source links safely, like because like that was like the number one thing. So I feel like that is the number one thing that like we should be teaching people coming into the space is how to source links safely, and like find safe sources for that. And you know what? Like this sort of stems back to early day blockchain too, because like early days, like when people were getting Bitcoin, they had to make sure they got the right Bitcoin code, like the right Bitcoin protocol to be able to run a miner. So they want to make sure they're not like mining on some like unknown random chain that's like not the real protocol or whatever. They want to make sure they were aware of the real protocol, and so like obviously they would want to make sure they're sourcing their like wherever they're getting their source of truth from is legitimate. And so like this is like this was true for Bitcoin clients or whatever like back in the day, and it's kind of true now for like just like interacting with like DeFi and stuff. Like I think the first thing that we should, like, if you're ever onboarding someone, is like, and anyone who's listening, if you're onboarding them, after you show them how to use seed phrase, first thing you should do is show them how to find sources of truth for anything they want to. So like there's 2 good ones. One is CoinGecko. You can go there, and on CoinGecko, generally you can find like for any chain that you need to, good links for the wallets that you can use. So like if you need like an ETH wallet, you go to the Ethereum like website from CoinGecko. You don't just search it on Google. You go to CoinGecko and you bookmark CoinGecko after the first time you go there, and then you go to the Ethereum like page, and you click on like all the links there for looking for various like Ethereum related links, and then you go to the Ethereum.org and you find the various wallets that they list there, and they list like basically everything. And the same goes for actually for Solana too, and for Bitcoin.
Just think about it. What happens if CoinGecko get hacked and all of these contracts will be replaced with
Oh yeah, that's possible. Yeah. So no, that's 100% possible. That's also what I told them. This was people should tell. This is like cross-reference it always with the second source, and that's how you make sure you always cross-reference it for at least the first time, right? So for whenever you're gonna download a wallet, whenever you're gonna whenever for DeFi protocols, I direct them to DeFi Llama, and then I tell them to cross-reference that with other sources like CoinGecko. But then for something like a wallet or for like a bridge, some app that doesn't have links on DeFi Llama, like I usually just like tell them to like find sources of truth that they recognize and then like cross-reference them. And so like this is like, I think this is one of like the first things that you should teach people before they interact with DeFi, just because this is like a DeFi specific thing. But I feel like if someone just wants a self-custody, I mean, it shouldn't be too difficult, right? Like there aren't too many risks of getting drained that way. But yeah, like if you want to interact with apps, I think like if you're gonna ever onboard someone, first thing like to show them after their seed phrase and wallet is to like how to source links of truth, like true legitimate links.
That's such a good point, man. Because it goes beyond even like having a wallet and like, okay, how you should change your internet behavior on the Web3 sides of things or crypto side of things. It's first of all like you have to have some kinds of a basic way of handling like internet in general. Okay, what links should I allow myself to press and why? And maybe I should ask myself a bit more, and maybe I should only go into that website from the normal link that they have on X or on their Discord, although these are hacked sometimes as well. So honestly, it really is about knowing the addresses, checking, and also like knowing that stuff is okay at the same moment, like following the community itself, because you you really never know. You know, you can only know that okay, at least you've made like a few steps in order to meaningfully increase the chances that you're doing stuff on the safe side. And for sure, yes, use a hardware wallet. What can I say? In my opinion, personally, it's a game changer. I've already seen like people,
Yeah. So
actual
like
friends who
you,
get trained really, like not
you
huge amount of
can
money, but still they get bombed.
you can take this and now transition to layer zero, because I think like layer zero, for example, they had all the contracts listed on CoinGecko. Actually, I copied one of them and I'm using Rabby Wallet. So like when I put it there, Rabby Wallet also have them already like labeled. I already labeled the whole contract. So like the preparation for these type of like, you know, phishing contracts for the same coin like didn't really affect much, because all these contracts were already like live. People know where to check and double check when they're claiming. And so like that's a nice one. But I think Rabby Wallet is basically doing really good on that angle, like, you know, helping you understand what are you doing with that transaction in most
Yeah,
cases.
you mean like Rabbi, like the way it tells you what's going to happen on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
coming
definitely,
transaction?
yeah.
It's
Mhm.
huge. Really. It's such an important thing as a user to have that.
I think I had like twice clicked on
Just to
links
see
where I
what's going to go
suspected
in.
they're like
Sorry, apologies.
scam. I had like 2 times where I clicked on links where I knew like 99% this is a scam. I just connected the wallet, triggered the transaction, look at the Rabbi wallet, and you see how much you get drained. You know, like you see all of them. Obviously, you know, you're not confirming and signing the transaction, but it was kind of like I got to that stage twice with Rabbi wallet, basically. And 2 times I was already suspicious of it, but I'm like, okay, let's trigger it. Worst case, we're just gonna get the notification. I mean, it's a nice tool.
I agree. I really like Rabbi. Although I saw some tweets by you, Millie, I think that for some purposes, like a month ago, that for some purposes, especially as an advanced user, MetaMask just gives you like better, more options. I don't know. Maybe you're muted, Millie?
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot I was muted. I think MetaMask is generally better for like multi-tap use at one time. Like one of the issues I have with Rabby is like you have like the account you're on. That's the account that connects to whatever site you're on. So like if you're connected to different dApps from different accounts from the same wallet, then like it switches you, and that's one thing that's kind of annoying about Rabby, like because I'm rarely ever connected just one dApp at a time. We connect like a bunch, and like different addresses for different ones, like some of them hot wallets, some of them hardware wallets. So like I like to have those, like look at all of them at the same time, like have tabs for all of them open, and like Rabby doesn't let you do that. So like I just find that annoying. And then the other thing with Rabby is what is it? Oh, you can't add these custom RPCs, which is like big headache. And
They
then
added that. They added that. It's
oh, they
now
added
possible.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay, good.
I think
Oh, you
two
can't add a
last
custom
updates.
chain. Sorry, you can't add custom chains still though. And that's kind of annoying. But there's one really good thing that I like about Rabby is like the seed phrase generation tool is so good. It's like you could generate multiple seed phrases within the same wallet. Whereas with MetaMask, you can only generate one and only have the one. And then if you want to make a new one, you have to like reset the old one. Like so it's that part is really annoying. And so like, and even like the wallet recovery on and wallet importing on Rabby is really good. So I really like those features. Like I'm not a big fan of the simulation stuff because it kind of slows down my transaction flow a little bit. But lately I've been transacting a little bit less. But even still, like it's kind of annoying. But like I do like a lot of features of Rabby. They are pretty good. Yeah, it's good that we have at least a good competitor to MetaMask. Huh?
And also, like you're very like a different like user from so many. Like you're very advanced user. You have like a whole other set of demands and expectations from your wallet and how it serves you, and you also know yourself better, like what you're capable of or not capable of. And I think that for so many, especially on the onboarding side, it's just easier to, like, if you want to teach a normie, like after you just taught the normie which links to press and not, and like how to at least be suspicious, hopefully, of a lot of links. It's also much easier on some levels, I think, to onboard them to Rabbi as a first wallet and not MetaMask. Although MetaMask is adding all kinds of features that makes it more comfortable to use, from what I'm saying. But these days, personally, I'm using Rabbi. What's your hardware wallet of choice, by the way, guys? If I may ask.
Honestly, Trezor. Like everyone used to sell me Trezor, and I never really understood why until like I got one. Like first when you first order Trezor, like it looks like it comes in like weird in the packaging. It just looks so cheap compared to a Ledger, but it's just so much easier to use Trezors. Like it just works compared to Ledger, which is like just gives you headaches sometimes, a lot of headaches. And like one of the things is that Ledger forces you to download their app to install to upgrade the firmware and everything. And like Trezor is just, it's more like it's like the original Trezors are designed so that the firmware doesn't really need to be upgraded too much, and it just works. And like I don't know, I find it just. I heard like it does have issues with L2s here and there sometimes, but I don't know. From what I've noticed, it's been pretty good. And I like how you don't have to download their Trezor app to like upgrade the firmware or whatever. For the first time you download it, you go to their website and you just do it all through the web, like through a web browser, which is pretty good. So yeah, it's just like it seems better. And honestly, every smart person I know, like, and everyone who's like very security minded uses Trezors. So yeah, I guess that's another thing, and it's open source.
Maybe it's related. By the way, Pope, what about you?
I think it feels like it's whatever you started with and you put money on early on, like whatever you chose in the beginning, you stuck with. It became sort of like, on Apple or Android type of thing. And there is two different obvious, differentiation when it comes to UX, UI. Like I use both of them. I still, feel more the Trezor vibe, as Millie mentioned, basically, that everything is on the device. There is no like the app that you need to, like an app that you need to install on your PC, and then from there you have to install the Solana or install the whatever other networks you want to have on the ledger. So like it's kind of like it's a different user experience compared to like Trezor, where everything is already loaded up in whatever they already support within the device. But security-wise, I mean, there is also one difference. Like Trezor, if you lose the device, you have 12 tries on the pin, where the pin is 4 numbers, and then in Ledger you have 6 pin numbers, and only 3 times. After 3 times, it's wipe out. So there is the 12 versus the 3, and if you lose a device, you will know the difference in terms of how you feel with it. But it's more emotional thing, because either way, like it's really hard to guess the pin number.
Yeah, but then also that's a good point. There's also that like all Trezor are technically still basically vulnerable to the voltage. What is it called? The voltage glitch bug that they have, where like if someone has control of your Trezor, they could use these like I don't know, like this. They use like this weird like technique to basically crack the pin.
I think they already patched that. They patched that before that was released when it happened. That was a story from like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's from a long time ago, but I don't know if they patched it. So what they did was they just say you can protect against it with the 25th, word, like a 25th passphrase. So you add a passphrase on the seed, and then it is protected from that if you do that. But I think generally the Trezor devices are still vulnerable to that. Let me just look it up.
Yeah, but also like not everyone have access to these tools to do that. It's not tools that
Yeah. I just mean like if you lose it, you might be like a little bit worried.
Yeah, it's part of it.
And by the way, me personally, I got a Grid Plus from Justin, the CEO of Grid Plus, a few months ago. I got a Lattice 1 by Grid Plus, and it's changed my way of interaction. It's a bigger wallet, like physically, so it's not as easy to go all over the place, like to go outside of the house with. But I'm really enjoying the use, like using it made my on-chain process more fun, to be honest. I started having issues with my old ledger, like just like not actual issues, but like I just couldn't see the numbers anymore on screen. You know what I mean? Like the small LED display, or however you call it. Just I had to like make the whole room completely dark in order to have a chance to understand what number I'm gonna prove in now. And it became like a guessing game. And then I was fortunate to get a different one, and actually have like I should have some kind of a treasure lying around the house that I bought a while back but never actually used, because again there was this issue of maybe I don't know, maybe it was like only years ago the treasure didn't really work well. Like, could you have years ago had both a ledger and a treasure simultaneously connected to your MetaMask?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I think I tried something on that.
I don't know if that is possible on MetaMask, but it's definitely possible on DAdvisoor. Like I experimented with that.
Sure. By the way, guys, what about the Layer Zero, the ZRO Airdrop? Did you get any?
Yeah, we should get to the other topics. We got Layer Zero and Martin Shkreli to talk about. And one other thing, so it's funny, just random coincidence, that vulnerability that I mentioned in Trezor, it was uncovered by Kraken back in 2020. That's who uncovered it too. So that's funny how like Kraken was supposed to be like, they are supposed to be like some of the best in security. So it's just funny that this happened to him recently. But I don't know if this affects.
You are having that opinion because of the amount of marketing they put on security. You know, like you just realize that now.
Yeah.
Marketing, baby, marketing, always.
All right. So, okay, speaking of marketing, Layer Zero, basically their entire marketing campaign since the inception of the protocol has been their token. And like, finally, after like 3 years, they released the token. And like, everybody's disappointed, obviously, for like many reasons. But there's just a new reason today that came up, which is like they're forcing everybody, whoever wants to claim their tokens, they have to make a donation to Protocol Guild. And Protocol Guild is like this. Is that for profit or not for profit? Like guild to like build and expand and then innovate on Ethereum or whatever and fund research, I guess.
Is that guild.xyz or whatever it is?
Is that what it is? I don't know. I don't know the like name. But,
don't just listen to me, folks. By the way, like
Protocol Guild
was a guess. Make sure to check every link, especially with what we just discussed. But so like how much, by the way, this was not shared in advance in any way. Like even when you had the claim, when you had the eligibility checker a few days ago ready, it still didn't say anything about, okay, if you'd want to get cash, you'd have to deliver some kind of value. Like I only heard about it a few hours before the stream today, that all of a sudden people were like, wait, you have to pay Layer Zero in order to get the airdrop, which actually I think is a very interesting concept that also this week Tapioca DAO did in a much better way, actually, because it was like, you know,
it was communicated.
Yeah, exactly. You knew what you were. You knew that you were going to.
Like I think the idea. The idea is good. The execution is terrible. Basically, that's the thing. Like it's a good idea, obviously. It's not. I don't have a problem with it. They could also put 10 addresses, and you split that 10 million or whatever, how many millions they're gonna donate to different organizations. That's cool. Even they can do that on not just a protocol guild. They could do donations for non-charity or whatever, like non-for-profit other organizations outside of crypto if they want. But communicate that not the few hours before. Like this is something you should have said long before. Nobody's gonna say no either way. Like it's you're claiming with a price way up higher than what you're paying in that donation, but it's like doing it as a last minute, that was a bad execution, in my opinion. It's not something that people were expecting to see.
Yeah, and like also like why, why, like it only makes sense to not communicate it in advance if they didn't think of it in advance. It's like they decided it in the last minute themselves. That's how it seemed, Like I'm not saying it's actually the case.
From
But
my point of view, I see that as an ICO more than a donation and claim. Like it's literally
Yeah,
an
the one
ICO.
thing is,
You're
it's
paying
not going
someone.
to them though, right? Like it's going to Protocol Guild. So I guess that's the one thing that sort of makes it not ICO-ish because it's not going to them. But
yeah, but none of us are sitting there and looking what Protocol Guild is doing with all that money. Obviously, if you start looking deep into that, you start realizing there is also some things that are rocky. But nobody is looking into that. We're just Protocol Guild, Protocol Guild, Protocol Guild. How many actual people in the space know what Protocol Guild is doing and how are they managing the money? Like what you go look in there, there is maybe a dev there earning $500,000 per year or $1 million per year for whatever job that you have no idea what is he doing. So like it's not people are not sitting and looking what are these DAOs are doing. Just send millions there.
yeah, like I agree. I think realistically, like the way they did it, what didn't make sense at all. And this is my biggest beef with it. Like the layer 0, the whole like the protocol was a token, man. Like when they launched their protocol, the way that everyone got teased about token wasn't because for like random reasons. It was because essentially like when they launched a protocol, within the protocol was coded like a token. Like a token was coded in. It just the token wasn't live. But anyone who could read the contract saw that there was a token. And so like there was all this hype about like a token that's gonna come. This was in 2021. And so like to me, it just I mean like really like if that's what you're gonna do, like for 3 years and then like I don't know, like they had so much time to plan this and they could have executed and like the way they did it, like it didn't make sense because they were farming like obviously it's just so many farmers, like their metrics was just clear, like and there was farming activity because they didn't have the quotes all the time, right? Like their execution wasn't the best, but they were getting so much volume, like the most volume. So there was like obviously something fishy there. And so like I don't know, for like 3 years they did this, and then now like when the token comes out, just like it's just obviously going to be disappointment, right? Like 3 years build up, hype build up, like you can't live up to that. Like it's impossible. No matter what, it would have been impossible to live up to that as like the protocol that they were. So like I don't know, I feel like they set themselves up for failure. Like they didn't need to do it that way. They should have just released the token right with the protocol right from the beginning, airdropped it to like some criteria. They should have designated some criteria, or if they should have just done liquidity mining for all those years, right? 3 years of liquidity mining, that would have been better for them. Like just give it to Stargate, like liquidity miners or whatever. I don't know. To me, it's like they could have used it in a way better way. Big waste of like a token generation event, in my opinion. A 3-year big hype, like ended. It's gonna end like very anticlimactically, and like it kind of ended with like again, like Pope mentioned, like really bad execution, with this like weird ICO like looking thing, and it's like I don't know, and it's not even going to them. It's all for donation. So like they're just taking a lot of hits for no reason, and like it's just really pointless, poor execution. Like did not need to go this way. So I don't know. That's my opinion.
What was some of the criterias, by the way, for people to be?
I didn't even check if I was eligible. Like, I didn't even check on any of my wallets. Like, I'm not even interested because I know it's gonna be tiny. like I see people's screenshots, like $100 airdrops. I'm like, I don't know, man. The risk of just connecting to airdrop claim links is more than $100 for most wallets. So I think, yeah, like I didn't even check. And honestly, for my when I checked my ZK Sync airdrop, it was just like very hilarious because I got like I think like $200-300, and I actually used Farm ZK Sync. So I'm like, okay, there's no way I'm getting anything from layer 0, which I didn't even.
It's an interesting point in a way because I'm like imagining what I would have thought like if I was like a project like such huge infrastructure projects, you know what I mean? Like layer 0 or the one you just what was the one you just mentioned? The ZK Sync. Okay, like excuse me for saying like, but you guys are exactly the users they should be chasing, you know? Like I don't know if they understand it or not, but like these are the actual users they should be attracting, and if these kinds of users don't care about what's being done there, I think it says a lot. I actually think it really says a lot because most of this capital that just comes to farm these tokens and like farm these airdrops, it runs away. Like it's gonna run away anyway. So I don't know. Just look at power user addresses who are actual people and are doing positive things in the space, and just give them some of the money. Like it makes more sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like marketing, well, I'm not even just saying it like from like the user side of things. I'm saying it from the company's side of things. Like it really is better for them, and also like I think that you can also see that sentiment according, at least in the like in the existing community, sentiments toward the airdrops change because there are so many airdrops to compare it to now that it's all like, yeah, but that one was better. Oh, and that one I got more money. So it's the bar is much higher these days.
Yeah, but for like founders, it's an event that they need to flush because there's a lot of expectations, and it is always sitting on the side. And on one hand, they want to build whatever they're working on, but on the other hand, they have to deal with the token issuance, right? And just issuing the token is just getting rid out of that, and then going and see, okay, right now, like the data is going to be clear. Who's building on layer zero? Who's using layer zero? How is layer zero making money? What's their business model? Is their business model even, supporting 3.5 billion FDV, or like, I don't know, almost like they start rating at 1 billion? Are they generating that amount of money like behind the scenes? What's so valuable for it right now? Like, how are they gonna sustain that entire thing? Like, eventually that's it. The token is out. Like now the actual work starts. It's not the end, but for a lot of users where the airdrop is just the end of the journey, where they farmed it, they claimed it, and they move on. So like for the founders, a different perspective. They just need to flush it. Like they could have waited probably another 6 months to show actual dApps, but still people are going to be using these dApps to farm it. So it's not going to actually reflect the real data. So that right now, after they flush the token, that's it. Now you can actually look at the data and you have a clean map of who's actually using it. Is it worth that money? And by the time we get, I don't know, I think 6 months from now, 1 year from now, you'll have more understanding of the valuation of this project. Like this is most of the airdrops right now.
Yeah, I think like projects get one TG and they shouldn't fuck it up. And like you get one chance to do it, you should just try and make it go smoothly as possible. And I think it's not that complicated to make it go smoothly. Like for it going smoothly basically means like not like if you're gonna give away tokens, just give it away like with very clear, transparent criteria. Like I don't understand like the idea of retroactive airdrops, um, and like teasing it, but not actually like releasing like information and then knowing you're gonna do it and giving it to some like random criteria that somewhat encompasses what you tease, but not fully. Like why? Like why do that? Just like make it very clear. And like in the end, it just comes down to like why don't you do liquidity mining, right? Like why not just launch a protocol with a token from day one and just have the token as part of like whatever incentives you're gonna do, like legit upfront incentive. Like you don't want airdrops, you want just people want the token, and anyone who wants to farm the token, just make it farmable by whatever metrics that you think that are helpful for the protocol. And like, I don't know. So I think like realistically, it's like the way like token TGEs these days are turning into like token generation schemes, where it's just like a scheme to get like the highest valuation possible at the point of vesting. And I think like if you really think of it that way and like that very cutthroat mentality, then like sure, maybe like these games that people are playing might make sense. Like yeah, maybe. And with this makes like in 6 months, maybe Layer Zero will be able to exit a higher valuation with this. I don't know if that's true really. Like if we look at like examples like Arbitrum and on Optimism, right? Like Optimism launched a token right in the bear market at very low valuations, and it's sort of creeped up. It's been upward. Like token's been like somewhat like doing decently amongst L2 tokens over its life cycle. Whereas Arbitrum has just hit a new all-time low. It's sitting at close to all-time lows right now, right? So I think like realistically, if you're trying to build something proper, it probably makes sense to like really think about these TGs and how you go about them. And so I think like the whole idea of like farming metrics and then releasing the token at the peak of the hype of the protocol when it's never going to meet those metrics again, and like releasing the token into oblivion, it's just like I don't know. I guess people get away with it. Like the market lets people get away with it. That's the sad part because these tokens launch at such high valuations. And partially it's because like they have these market maker agreements and market makers sort of inflate the price There's a whole bunch of angles to it. But at the end of the day, if people don't buy these tokens, they just go straight down. And a good example is as like Wormhole, which is like still going straight to zero since it launched. Straight down. Like hasn't gone anywhere but down. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like it's and speaking of token generation events, like there's one coming up next week, which is Blast, and just today it looks like there's information coming out that Blast is kind of rugging their users with a vesting schedule for the airdrop. So like some portion of the airdrop appears to be vesting, which is a massive rug, like insane rug from Blast, because like you know what's funny? They launched 6 months ago with no product, right? And the only product was like people's money. And they sort of they've been farming those metrics for like Pac-Man's been on like Twitter, like hyping those metrics for like 7 months now. And
that's the farming of that gold blast.
The blast points and gold and all that shit. And say, oh, we had the highest highest L2 by TVL, this and that and the third, all kind of bullshit, right? And it turns out like the airdrop comes and it's like and there's some scheme, right? Like there's like investing schedule or whatever. And honestly, I feel like the people who are hit the worst by this are blur farmers because like I didn't farm blur this season, but I'm staking blur and I'm like getting cooked. But the blur farmers, like these guys literally lost ETH all year long. To the point where just recently, was it yesterday or the other day, the top blur farmer, I don't know them personally, but I've interacted with them through blur farming a few times, and they're essentially just basically pulling their liquidity, and like they've been the number one farmer for blur basically for like 2 years now since it launched, and like they've been providing all the liquidity. And this year alone, they said on this season alone, like the past 6 months, they said it took like a $3 million, $4 million loss on just like farming blur. And so like their airdrop gets like invested and stuff like that's, I don't know, man, that just feels like a major rug right there, right? Like I don't know, I just feel like every protocol these days is launching with like some scheme. It's not like an airdrop anymore. It's not just a token generation event. It's like a scheme to like I don't know like what the objective is, but basically to farm the farmers, to rug somebody at the expense, so that the team can get a more favorable terms when they vest at the user's expense or whatever. I don't know. It's just like a bunch of shadiness. So I think last TG, I was a lot more optimistic about it before today. Let me just say that.
I think if on top of my head, if you take all the airdrops that happened over the last 5 years, if you claim and sold the day it listed on Binance, you're probably still outperforming most of them. Like if you take the average of all of those airdrops, if you held them long enough, you're probably, you're down 99%. Some of them, will bounce, but the percentage of those that actually bounce and sustain value are like really small. So like you're playing probability games, and especially if they launched, at these valuations where, in the bottom of the bear market, we were just begging to see a 40 million market cap, anything, like you look, everything is just, bleeding. You're like, oh, something launched. There was nothing like this 40 million market cap. Like this was already high. Right now, billions getting out on Binance every day.
And also, like with all these, I think you raised a very good point there, by the way, that most of these would have been being sold. Like it also connects to the fact that most of these don't have any actual use case. They're tokens, and okay, they give us what governance rights, you know what I mean? Like that mean no actual governance. Like I don't remember when one of these big airdrops actually released a token that I know as a user that is gonna be useful for me. For example, I don't know, maybe ZRO is. Maybe its role in the ecosystem is clear and relevant, and people know about it. I didn't actually read about it. I did, for example, when I participated this week in the Tapioca, the TAP launch, because I had a few Pearl Club NFTs, so I was eligible for the AO TAP. So again, I was able to like pay money, which actually came to like POL of the protocol own liquidity. Some users thought the guys were buying the Matic token, the POL token. But Yeah, they're just trying to like own a lot of liquidity, so they're basically like raising money. But for me, it was like, okay, I just got the token for 50% discount, and the token kept like moving up. So it's like immediate value once you have enough money to just like exercise your option. So it was actually kind of cool. But again, it's all about like the communication, whether or not like what are your users expecting, what are you actually giving them, how close are both these metrics to one another. And also I think that after that you have to have utility. Like for me, for example, if I didn't have if I didn't want to own this tap and lock it as TW tap to be able to earn from the tapioca revenue, then I would have probably already sold it, because like, I don't know, I'm in a lot of profit, and it would have been the wise things to do. I don't know if I necessarily would have done it. I'm the worst trader, but it would have been the right thing to do.
Yeah, I think that we're at the end of the airdrop era. Like, I think this is it. Like, there's really, I've been saying this like all year. Like, it's very clear that it's just coming to an end, because teams aren't even doing airdrops anymore. They're doing points programs, and these points programs are not like airdrops, more closer to liquidity mining. And it's like, to me, it just doesn't seem like, it just feels like we're on the end of this meta. Like, I would not like dedicate a lot of time or effort to airdrop farming at all anymore. I think that's a big mistake. I think, realistically, there are some. I've been screaming alts for like a while now, and I feel like DeFi is like really in a good, nice place. And it looks like finally VCs are starting to catch a little bit. It's starting to catch VCs' attention. Like most of Ethereum DeFi is actually in a pretty good place. Like these are apps that are like generally profitable. Like there is like maybe they're like the incentive and design and like some of the protocol structure could be streamlined maybe a little better, but like for the most part these apps are doing very well, right? Like sure, like there's already certain things we don't like about Aave, but they're doing decently. Sure, there's a bunch of things we might not like about Lido or whatever, but like Lido's still like the most dominant LSD, doing very well. Synthetics doing like very well. Who else? Like Maker seems to be doing very well, even though I do not like their philosophy at all. What are the other ones? DYDX is doing very well. They're like, they're constantly shipping new things on, but they're kind of isolated into their own environment. I feel like they're kind of paying that price a little bit right now. But all these like OG DeFi protocols that were around from like 2017, 18, or whatever, 2019, they're like doing amazing. They're doing really good. So like I feel like that is where there's some economic density. I don't know when like the market's gonna realize that. I guess that's like that's debatable. I'm definitely not giving anybody financial advice, but I feel like that's where like the interest is. Like people, like I feel like airdrop farming and like it started off with yield farming back in 2020 and like evolved into liquidity mining, like for tokens. It's sort of that carried on for a long time. It's sort of like turned into like airdrop farming, and then it turned into like points programs, and now it's like just like it's been bastardized so much. Like we don't even recognize what we're doing anymore with some of these token launch events. So I think I feel like it's just like it's really overblown now. I don't know. There may be like a couple airdrops that could come that could change the game. Like maybe like a Polymarket airdrop would be interesting. I don't know. Like I think that would probably catch people off guard and might like reinvigorate that meta. But I don't know. It just seems like it's kind of just like dead now.
Yeah, Polymarket is a nice one because like if you use it, you use it. If you don't use it, like you're not gonna come in and spend money to farm it, because you're not like if you're farming it, like if you're like using there for like $1-2, you're probably not gonna get much for the airdrop. But if you're using it, you're spending, I don't know, 100, few thousand. Some people spend a lot. Like I've seen some crazy bids there. I'm like, this is gonna be crazy. And I think they already raised, so like eventually there's going to be a token, but the question is when, obviously.
Maybe not, because like OpenSea also raised several times. They never launched a token, and like they do have similar investor overlap. They have Nick from one confirmation or whatever. Like they're investors in both, and so like I don't know, like it's possible they don't do it, but like if they do it, that would be an interesting one. I think it would catch people off guard. I've used it from a couple wallets. I use it like occasionally. My biggest issue with it is on Matic. Like, why does it have to be on Polygon? Like, Could it be
Yeah.
arbitrage anywhere else? Then?
Yeah, I have no fucking idea why they're stuck with Polygon. Polygon is horse shit.
They're
Like,
the
I cannot
OG
fucking use
Polygon
that
DApp,
shit.
though. That's why they're the OG Polygon DApp.
Yeah, but what are they getting from it? I mean, there is zero reason for them to not be multi-chain in a way, right? Like, they could definitely use layer 0 for that. Which is funny. Like, no, really, like, as a user, come on, let me use it where I'm, like, wherever I am. Like, this was also a discussion tweet, I think, that Vitalik tweeted. For a user, he doesn't need to know which layer he's sitting on, which one he have balance. I just want to use it. Let me use it. I need to bridge to Polygon.
Yeah, it's actually a very good point, and I'm
I
guessing.
think if they do that, and even if they add Bitcoin and they add other chains, they will have huge influx like that. They will not even realize how much they were missing out. Money that basically, if it's easier for me to use it, I'll just use it. If it's not, I'm gonna be like, no. But if it's becoming available, you're just gonna click. You're like, okay, it came to me. Like, I'm using this chain mostly, so like, there's a lot of users to unlock. Like, even if they get 1% of all of these chains, it's still worth it.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know, man. It's
Do, do that move and then do an airdrop.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe they do their own chain, like their own L2. That would be not out of the question too, right? Like they do their own L2 is definitely within the question. And they do seem very loyal to Polygon, though. Like they even have the name in the name, right? Like Poly Market. So, I don't know. We'll see how that unwinds. I guess. All speculation.
I say that
Polymarket's been around for a long time. Yeah, they were from the first dApps on Polygon.
And it has product market fit, which is the most important thing in a way. Like people actually enjoy it, and just like you said earlier, Pope, like people like betting. You like to bet, and it's so simple. And people also, I think, really appreciate like simple stuff they can do with their money. Like many people, they don't like the any complicated terms. They're like, okay, yeah, I'm willing to bet on it. It's much easier to understand a bet than an investment,
Yeah, but going back to what Millie mentioned, I think about the DeFi protocols on Ethereum, I think like most of those that almost finished vesting, or like the vesting that's left is basically voting emission. You can clearly already look how much revenues they make and how much they share back with users. These basically revenues usually scale when the market scales up. Like if we get, like we have to go higher prices for this to spill over to the DeFi scene, or these dApps are generating more money and people, see traction around buying their token and locking or, staking to get some of the revenues. The problem is that most of them are not fully, revenue back to the users. There is a lot of layers. You don't understand what they do. Like you just give up. You don't want to even dig into understanding what the token and how much the token is getting. And it's like they don't communicate these things for legal reasons. I think that's one of those. I think that the market there is waiting for Uniswap switch on. Once the Uniswap switch on goes live, a lot of others will follow suit, because if Uniswap is now, I don't know, open to some lawsuit for that case because they opened the switch on and they're sharing revenue, and that has some, security around it, and like, because these things of sharing profits with users are like quite risky on what the SEC can do. I mean, these things makes the token become more a security token. So if Uniswap does that, then a lot will follow suit, and probably we'll see the market there wake up a little bit more.
Honestly, I never really bought that, because like to me, it's like I don't get why. Like which judge in the right mind would look at a protocol and say, there's a code token. The token has control over the revenue and it has control over the treasury, but it's not a security because it doesn't directly capture the revenue. And like if it did directly capture the revenue, all this one's security. Even though like all this has control over all this already. Like it doesn't. That doesn't. Even most of the cases the SEC has brought against tokens, like the tokens weren't even capturing revenue. Like that wasn't even part of it. So I feel like that. It's like I feel like it's one of those things that like founders seem to like really really dwell on and sort of like cling to, and it's just like I feel like it's way overrated. Like if there's a token, if there's a treasury, the token controls the treasury, and like the protocol and like the revenue, like this is no difference, man. Like with a growth stock, like like with growth, like equity and stuff, it's the same thing. Like the equity controls like the revenues don't give dividends because it's like a growth asset. Like they're not trying to capture, they're trying to reinvest it. It's the same thing. Like, so I don't think it makes any less security. Like, and I feel like a lot of founders think based on like what their lawyers tell them, their legal counsel, they think they're like on a solid footing by not having like a fee switch. I just feel like that's just like something that would never hold in court. Like any reasonable judge would just look at that and say like, this is, if that's the one thing that's the difference, just because it doesn't have a fee switch that is not like, but it has all this control over like all the revenue of the protocol. Like there's no way a judge would say that this is any less of a security because it doesn't have a fee switch, right? It's just like maybe you'd find one or a few judges that would like agree with that. Otherwise, like it just doesn't like intuitively it doesn't make sense, right? Just because that one reason. But there are actually a lot of protocols that do like distribute fees back to like the holders. So like Maker does for sure. Synthetics does. DYDX does right now, like on their chain. So there are several that do it. I think I like Uniswap. The one funny thing is like they're turning it on for their V2 and V3, which are probably going to get a lot less volume once V4 goes live. So like that's going to be a funny part of the whole picture. But I mean, I guess they're sort of making at least some attempt at it. So yeah, I think a lot of people were waiting for Uniswap to do it though. I do agree with that. But it's not live yet. They still have the proposal, and it's been like blocked by A16Z for now. So I don't know what's gonna happen with that.
They have delayed it, I think, 2 or 3 times already. But hopefully it goes on.
But the last time that it was published, people were saying that no, this time it's serious. No, this time this is a real guy.
Last minute, I think 3 days before, they basically decided to postpone it. And right now, you see already the US softening all their pressure on crypto. So, hello world, like it's making a lot of sense that Uniswap decided to postpone back then. Right now, we're seeing that the US is taking a turn on crypto, and trying not to go too harsh. Now, maybe Uniswap will do that very soon. Maybe they're waiting for the elections as well. There's a lot of politics involvement. Like the crypto politics scene is becoming crazy. Like I saw that today as well. SEC is going after Wintermute, the market
Not
maker.
Wintermute. No. The CFTC is going after. They're investigating Jump.
Jump. Sorry. Yeah, Jump. Sorry.
It's
not the first time. Like
yeah, but it could stem from the whole Luna thing. It might not be like it might not be for other stuff. It could be just from some extension of the whole Luna stuff because they were in the like they were in the what are those things called? I forget what it's called. When they go and there's like and they take everyone's testimony and statements and stuff, but it's not actual court. Fuck, I forget.
Yeah, but anyway. Like the whole politics with crypto right now is quite sensitive. But
yeah, for sure.
I don't think it's a coincidence, obviously. But once we get the switch fee on, then something in DeFi might wake up. People might become more positive toward it, but still, you still want to look at protocols that generate enough revenues that goes back to the holders, where the holder is holding in. Within X period of time, I know I make up the capital that I just held in that protocol in a way. Most cases, you'll rarely find those.
Interesting, to be honest. Enjoying this discussion with you guys and could keep going, but I know that you got some other stuff to do. Anything you want to add, guys, before we wrap this up? I know we wanted to touch on the Shkreli issue, but I don't know if we have any more time for it.
Well, it's probably better to touch on that next week when there's more info that develop. The Shkreli thing is all over the place. That's just hilarious too. The word I was looking for, I just want to say the word I was looking for is deposition. The deposition that Jump that they were in the whole Terra Luna part of the deposition. The founder had to go and like give evidence and everything. So I had to give a sworn testimony and like so I think there was some stuff that came out there that caught maybe might have caught regulators' attention. I don't know. So it could be just related to that, isolated to that for the jump investigation. We don't know yet. That's we haven't said anything yet.
We'll see for sure. Either way, it was really great to get you two together. Really enjoyed this call and just listening to you guys. To be honest, with all these perspectives, two of the accounts I really like have some echo. Hope it's not. It wasn't like that all the show. Either way, guys, Leviathan News weekly panel. Thank our panelists. Thank everyone for watching. Follow us on TG, on X, on YT, on Spotify, wherever you want to do it. And also, if you want to get involved, come submit some headlines, earn some squid. We'll also be taking care of the squid for the show participants. That's for sure, but we're still working on it. We just yesterday delivered some squid for participants of the last month who have submitted headlines to our TG bot, so you can come do it as well. It's pretty much the way we want to incentivize the community to to participate in the process of like headline submission. And I think that this way we will really be first to every news once we actually have the community working with us on spreading the information as quickly as possible, because with the hive mind you can really be first to everything. So either way, guys, really enjoyed being with you here. See some last comments by Shoemaker.
Yeah, we have an active chat today. GM to the chat. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you, everybody.
Feel free to add questions, guys, next time for the guests, or let us know which panelists you want us to add sometime, to invite, whenever. We really just try to get the show going more and more often. And for me personally, guys, I really appreciate you coming on, and for the viewers as well, because it's actually becoming like my favorite show of the week. It has it's getting its own like vibe, at least for me personally, and I really am enjoying it. And feel free, of course, everyone, to share any kind of feedback. All right, guys, thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
Everyone.
Peace out.
See you next week. Hopefully. Bye.